do artists understand? So one thing, I've been hanging out with some artists sometimes,
They have the good drugs, I have found.
So, artists and capitalistic, business, doesn't always fit together. They want to be,
Sure it
more,
does. Sure it does.
But
Artists, whether they know it or not, are social entrepreneurs. Artists don't necessarily set out to like get rich, but they set out to solve some sort of social problem. Sometimes that social problem is they don't think the music out there is good, or they think that through their music they can help people or whatever. But then they realize either sooner or later that they've got to make money to sustain themselves, right? That's like the definition of a social entrepreneur. So yeah, I mean, sometimes artists, the stereotype of the artist is they get uncomfortable around sort of commoditizing their art. On the other hand, they get deeply comfortable about setting up sensibilities in which their art can be provided to people who desire to consume it. And increasingly we've seen that, whether it's through, and I'm not a huge fan of a lot of these things, but Kickstarter or Patreon or whatever, these are all just systems in which artists can more efficiently sort of monetize more directly to their fans. But I don't think I think that rap of like artists are not capitalists or something, I just think that's the wrong framework.
It's not an advertisement, right? I mean, if you look at it, it's the artist saying, hey, brand, thanks for getting my music out in the world. I truly appreciate it. Here's this content you wouldn't have heard otherwise, and you want to learn more, go to this website. That's it, right? So the brand is taking a back seat to the artist. And the reason they're doing that is because we are getting inundated with one-way ads saying, buy something from me. And that's just not, that doesn't appeal to us anymore. So we want to understand what a brand stands for. And when they stand behind putting music out in the world that you wouldn't hear otherwise, that's interesting. So it's not just an ad where, think about being in a native music experience and hearing, you're on Spotify and all you're hearing is these ads, right? That's really disruptive, as opposed to an artist voicing saying, here's my music. Thanks, brand. Check it out.
You're right.
Yeah.
So it's different. I didn't get the difference actually. So it's good you clarified it.
That's great. And markets are conversations, and sort of from the Industrial Revolution up until really, really recently, it's been this very one-way sort of push, as Carlos said. And the internet's the fastest adopted technology since fire because it allowed people to reclaim their voices. All we're doing is setting up discourse. We're just setting up dialogue, and it's a sort of non-traditional dialogue, but that's what it is. It's a conversation. And so that it's kind of the anti-ad. It doesn't really work that way.
So do you guys share, when you have a program running like this, share on your website, those programs so we can see them,
Yeah, you can go to the website right now. I mean, it's just case study after case study, yeah.
And I will tell you that we're about to release, and George was really pivotal in this, is we're about to release a video that is the artist talking about how working with brands has helped their lives be better, right? Has helped them grow their careers. So, I would say over the next couple of weeks, you can look for that. And I think that's probably the best testament, right, to the partnerships.
Yep. That's excellent. So we'll definitely stay tuned and share it once it comes out also. So are there any music genres, that prefers that model than others? Is it more rock, rap,
so
jazz?
Yeah, I'll jump in on this. And again, you think that, because we're so respectful of artist time, right? We go out and we make sure that the brand is serious and they sign a contract before we go out and actually talk to artists, right? About doing a partnership. And brands today, we're working with all kinds, but today, I mean, Hispanics are of major interest to brands, right? So we've done a lot of work with those groups, and the artists are, that community more than eager to get the exposure. So it's really been very amicable. I will tell you though that we're working across all types of genres, whether that is hip hop, rap, EDM, country, Latin alternative, all of them. And the interesting part about it is every genre of music, every artist in every genre of music needs exposure. And back to data, which I think is pretty interesting, is we've actually developed a genre matching tool which uses data science to go in and say, a brand will tell us, well, here's my consumer. And today brands aren't even coming to you and saying, you know, I want 21 to 35-year-old males. They're coming to you and saying, you know, I want tech enthusiasts. I want moms that are affluent. I want travelers. I mean, this is the profile of person that buys my product. So we go into our genre matching tool, and we're able to see, even regionally, really, nationally or regionally, what are the right types of genre of music. And that's how we go about figuring out how we're going to pursue artists. So today, brands are interested in Hispanics, but as this expands, right, it's only going to grow to just all kinds of genres, because whether it's world music or, I don't know, or gospel, right, there are consumers that listen to that type of music.
It goes back to those wizards I referenced in California that are building these tools, and they're part of the Max tech side of things. What's interesting, Alistair, is, as I said earlier in this little conversation, that it's heretofore been anecdotal. We think that the consumer likes this. A lot of times you're just wrong. So surprises begin to emerge. And that's what's really exciting. And I've seen this forever, just being old and in the music business for a long time. Like, you tell me the A&R team that sat around in a room and said, I know what we should put out, a Hasidic Jewish rapper. Well, Mattis Yahoo had a #1 hit, right? Like, you know what I mean? And so we go into these things with this sort of conventional wisdom, and that's where the data mixed with the human-sided approach really is terribly exciting, and surprises start to emerge. And then brands get surprised and excited, and then artists get surprised and excited because they get fans that they otherwise never would have gotten.
Yep, I can see that, and I'm excited too for you guys. So we have a question right here. So where do you get the data that matches the brand to music genres in the genre tool? What is the data source? Are the artists fans supplying this? Are they scraping social data? Is it a third-party service they license? I'm not sure you can say.
We're not licensing anything. It is all proprietary technology. And unless Carlos wants to, we're not going to disclose. I mean, that's sort of some of our secret sauce, right? I mean, but rest assured, we're not. We know a guy, and he's got a list. You know, it's really, really unbelievably high level technology that is drawing on an awful lot of sources to get just ever improving data set.
Excellent. So next question, we're right on time. So I think this one, okay, so will brands and artists merge even more? So for me, maybe this is maybe outside of Max, but do you see, music artists, coming into the enterprise, with millennials, and, music is, very consumed today. Will we see artists in a town hall, at Google or at Facebook?
Oh, they're already there. They're already there. A lot of times these artists won't, and they have been for a long time. A lot of times these artists won't promote it because they're being paid ungodly amounts of money to do it, right? And to show up and do some performance at someplace, and they don't. But it's so deeply integrated. What we're doing is integrating it in a way that artists are really proud to say, "Hey, we're part of this." But yeah, I mean the Hydra-like tentacles of art and music, whether it's through events like these or new technologies. I mean, we were talking about this before this, but if anyone right now is not just almost relentlessly focused on what's happening with Pokemon Go, I don't care what industry you're missing it. You're missing. You guys are laughing, but I'm not wrong, right? And I mean, we're at a tipping point around that. And so music and how music might start to integrate in fields of alternative reality and mixed reality. I got something. I was at this MIT thing I did Monday and Tuesday, and one of the startups down there, you stick little earbuds in your ears, and not only can you sort of tune, just the world, but it allows for the ability to integrate a layer of augmented reality from an audio perspective. And you think about things like, Fitbit and wearables and all this stuff, and how music can start sort of being absorbed more efficiently into it. We're really at sort of day one of that. The Amazon Echo, I mean, that's a massive game changer, not just for music, but just for technology and how we integrate with music, where the voice becomes the best UI. What does that mean? The driverless car, all this stuff. It's very exciting.
Yep. So the next question. So what is the value of music for a brand? How does it help people connect to a brand emotionally?
I feel like we've asked and answered that 100 times, but go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, so I would say that, I think brands really want to connect with consumers. And a key way to do this through passion points. And I think that's why you see brands spend a lot of money on things like, sports. Music is another example, right? Because people are passionate about those types of things. The interesting thing I think about music is that it's a highly fragmented, and as George knows, it's a complex space, right? And so, most brands today, what I think they're doing is they're saying, okay, let me just sponsor a venue, right? Or let me sponsor a tour. But the tough thing about that is, at the end of the day, what does that really mean to your return on investment, right? What did I actually get out of that? Like, you have a consumer, so you think about like a venue, right? You have a consumer that goes to the venue, and the banners are up there, and you see the brand that's sponsoring it, and you're getting promotions on your phone. And, there's probably some sales that come out of it and all of that, but are you really creating long-term loyalty? I don't know if you are, and I'll tell you, and certainly it's tough to track, but what I will tell you, what I think we do so different is that we sponsor the artist, and that's what people care about. Like, people don't go to a venue to check the venue out. They go to the venue to watch the artist, right? That's what they care about. And so that's what we do. And because of what we're doing, we're dry, top of the funnel, there's all this goodness like content and stuff, but even at the bottom of the funnel, right, we're doing stuff now with retail integration. We're doing things with some of these activations where brands are coming back to us and saying, I am seeing this lift in sales. And that's where the Holy Grail is, right? And that's also great for the artist, right? Because when artists can drive those types of results to brands, those are going to create longer term, better deals that are only going to help them, create better music longer because they have the support they need.
Okay, thanks, Carlos. What is the best advice you can
Hang on, I want to talk about that for a second. Okay. So yeah, Carlos said it beautifully and perfectly. I want to give one example that when I look back in my life, like this moment, I think, and it's only clear sort of in hindsight, but really set me up for what we're doing here with Max. And so you probably know the artist, Alistair, named Nick Drake, the singer-songwriter. Does that mean anything to you? So, so Nick Drake, beautiful singer-songwriter, and just couldn't get arrested in his lifetime and killed himself. And his music began to get, sort of known by a very small group of sort of hipsters like Radiohead and stuff, but still couldn't get it released. And we had his work in our catalog at the label I ran. And we would get, with some frequency, people trying to license Nick's work in. And we're going back to like the late 90s at this point, right? And so we just wouldn't do it. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel right. And then one day we get a storyboard in from Arnold Advertising agency in Boston. And they're like, we know you don't license Nick's music, but would you take a look at this? So I'm looking at the storyboards for the campaign, and I call them up. I was like, look, jackasses, A, we don't license Nick's music. B, you didn't even send me the complete storyboard. All you sent me was a bunch of pictures. There's no copy. So how am I even supposed to assess it? No, that's the storyboard, George. That's it. And I looked at it again. I said, well, this is kind of interesting. So we talked to Nick's mom, the estate or whatever, and we ended up doing it. And it was the commercial for a Volkswagen car, and the song was Pink Moon. And some of your viewers might be old enough to remember the commercial where a bunch of kids drive up to a party and Pink Moon's playing. I get emotional thinking about Pink Moon's playing, and then they drive away. Not a word is spoken. It became one of Volkswagen's most successful campaigns ever, we went from selling virtually no Nick Drake records to hundreds of thousands of them, which then led to his music being stuck into some that Zach, whatever his name is, Garden State movie, and then a whole new generation of fans. And so now I go and I teach some college course to a bunch of 17-year-olds who weren't even born, and they know who Nick Drake is. And it's like that's emotional, that's connecting, you know, and that's like my North Star for what's happening at Max. It's like, do that, let's connect with that level, you know, and you know, I think we get pretty damn close to that repeatedly, you know, and sometimes surpass it. So that's purpose, that's mission.
Great. So that's a very good example, I think. Thank you. So we're running a bit out of time, so I'm going to accelerate a little bit. So what is the best advice you would give to an entrepreneur who is trying to launch a new idea?
It's like Rodney Dangerfield said in his commencement speech, stay in school. I don't know, man, do something, you know, prototype fast, put something out there and I don't know, there's like a million, I don't know. I mean, come up with an idea, try to see if you can get it to market super fast in a way that's sort of measurable, and learn from it and see if it works. I mean, products, services, bands, they all work or they all fail for the same reason. You have to have a remarkable product, in other words, something that people will talk about, and you have to put it in front of people who are predisposed to care, and you have to do both. And whether, you know, how you do that and whether or not that will generate money, but the goal of all businesses is to attract and retain customers and kind of shift the burden of promotion from you, the brand, to your users, whether that's customer. But I mean, how can I answer this? This is like, I need 12 weeks. You know?
Yeah. Okay. So Carlos, anything to add there? We'll move to the next question.
Yeah, just make sure that you have a problem that you're solving, that you don't come with a solution looking for a problem, right? Yeah. You know, building a business, you really have to add value to the world. And a lot of times people build stuff and then they're looking for how they can implement it. It's too late.
Great.
And if you don't have a vision that like it, only do it if you can't not do it. You know, like only do it if it's like, I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't think, I can't unless I do this thing, because it's hard.
Yep. Yep. So the next one is for artists. So what advice you would give to an artist today in the current landscape of the music industry?
All you, George.
Do something remarkable and put it in front of people predisposed to care, and you will shift the burden from you saying, hey, I'm a great artist, to other people talking about your work. And unless and until you do that, you will not succeed.
That's well said. Thanks.
I didn't come up with that just now.
Yep, I've heard you say this already. Yes. So question 17. So if someone is looking for brand artist partnership, who is the contact at Music Audience Exchange, and what's the first step? You know, what's the first process?
I can give you Nathan Hanks' cell phone number. You can just call him.
And I will give you George's for any of the artists that want to reach out to him directly. So if you go to Music Audience Exchange's site, there's two buttons. One says brands, one says artists, and there's a contact us form. I commit to you that we will call you back, right? Whether you know, you're a brand or an artist, we will reach back out to you and hear what you have to say.
Okay, thank you. So then the final question, loaded question. What is your vision, you know, with all the evolutions, the innovation, the acceleration of innovation everywhere, you know, do you have a vision, you know, for where we will be in the world, you know, on a specific topic? It can be music, it can be Pokemon Go, it can be, you know, whatever, you know, is your vision for 2029?
So George, let me go first, because I think it is appropriate that you finish with Pokemon Go. It's, you know, we finished where we started, if that's at all possible. So I would just say, I don't know if it's 2029. I think it's going to be probably sooner than that. You picked the specific date, so I'm sorry, but you know, I just see it today that you know, you know, I presented Max to a brand recently, and I thought it was funny. I want to give you their response. This is what they said. They said, you know what we would have done before we saw this? I said, what would you have done? They said, we would have hired an actor to pretend to be a musician to be in our ads. And then we would have had our creative firm create all the content, and we would have had our media agency run the media, and then we would have hired another firm to do an event, and then we probably would have a couple internal people managing all of these different agencies, because they don't talk to each other and they work in silos. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's just what creates a really ineffective, unauthentic program. And so what I think is going to happen is that all of these things are going to come together, and there's going to be solutions that are technologically advanced, that are turnkey, and they're going to help brands as well as artists. So I see that happening. And I think over the next, 10, 15 years, music, which is 10% of the value of sports in terms of sponsorship, and that's what we're here to talk about today, is music, right? Is 10% the value of sports. I hope that we can help increase that and really drive the value that the music, and I don't want to say the industry, the artists that are creating the music deserve. So that would be my goal over, I don't know, but hopefully it'll happen a heck of a lot sooner than 2029, but that would be my goal over the next 2 years.
I just love that. I've got lots of sort of glib, pithy things I could say, but nothing would beat that. That was perfect. Great.
Thank you, Carlos. And you, George, anything you want to add? This is the final slide, and we're right on time.
No, thanks for having us. As I say, I'm not going to, I thought what Carlos said was just awesome.
And George, likewise, enjoyed it. Alistair, thanks for the opportunity. And again, I see that there's some remaining questions. If we didn't answer all of them, go to our Contact Us page, fill them out, and we'll get back to you.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot for participating. I'll be posting the video shortly. Thank you.